love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, I love it, I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavill, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball, So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Welcome to episode 767 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports, from institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics, to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. In short, we just call it HBCU Sports Pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to K-Sway's 12:30 a.m. studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer that is, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home at Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, let's bring everybody on board. And as we do that, let me say today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting, educational, consulting, and data analytics. With that being said, as you see, we have none other than Charles Bishop, AD Drew, and Wilton Jackson II. And wanted to get some rolling. Just going to ask you how you doing today, Charles?
Doing well, Doc. Semester started back. First day of classes, so I got a spirited group here. So.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Are they ready to go, Charles?
Hey, ready to go. Ready to go. I've laid out my expectations, my standards, and once you get through those groans, we're ready to talk class. So.
That's the troubling part. Charles sets out his expectations. It's going to be a long semester for some people. They don't quite understand what they really mean. Wilton Jackson II, how are you?
I am doing good, Doc. It's good to be back, of course. Like Charles said, classes have definitely started back too. So you know how they go, Charles, and you're trying to explain to them how it's going to be. You know, you get a couple of, we heard about Professor such and such. We don't know how this class is going to be, but, we going to make it work. So, you try to talk to them or whatever, but it's good to be back, man. And, I'm glad to be here.
Mm-hmm. Good to hear you. AD Drew, and yourself?
I did something today that I normally don't get an opportunity to do. I left the office early, and I came home and took me a nap. Something that simple, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was, for a matter of fact, Dr. Cavill, thank you for calling me. When you called and had to ask me something, because I might not have made call time.
I love it. It may have been just a little different. Well, Today we're going to modify it a little bit and go to a break. Coming out of that break, we expect to have Zakia Haywood. She is a director of college track and field and special projects. But we're going to be particularly talking about the HBCU track showcase. So excited about what that looks like and give you some insights. As we don't always get a chance to really talk track and field, and we certainly don't tend to do it this early, but I'm a little excited about the new frontier and what that means. So we'll take our first break, come back on the other side, and see if we have our guests ready to go. We'll be right back after this first break.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU stories with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU image, a Kenny T's company.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131. Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisine.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington. He's out on assignment. We have Charles Bishop, Wilton Jackson II, and AD Drew. Do we have our guests with us? Drew? Oh, yes, we do. I like to say welcome to the show, Zakia Haywood. How are you doing today?
I'm doing exceptionally well today of all days.
It looks like you're at work.
I'm still at work. I'm at the Oval Office, as they say. I'm at the
Oval Office. Explain a little bit before we get into who you are with that magnificent background. Tell us a little bit where you at and a little bit about what you do.
Great. So once again, I'm Zakia Haywood. I'm the Director of College Track and Field and Special Projects here at the Armory. The Armory is located in Uptown in Washington Heights in New York City. So we're in the Big Apple. And what you're seeing in the background is our spectacular indoor track and field facility. We like to call it the fastest indoor track in the world, where more records have been set here. And we are very much excited to host the HBCU Showcase presented by Nike Running on Saturday.
You might not be able to tell, but at one time, I used to run. I'm not official there was any track and field part of that, but I certainly follow it. But I can look at that and see why it's magnificent and often why that probably has set some of the fastest records in the U.S. and in the world, I imagine, at times. So beautiful facility. But let's get to it. This is the HBCU Showcase, as you talked about, presented by Nike Running. It is at the Armory in New York City. And the event is Monday, January the 5th. Running event entries closed last Wednesday and January 7th. But can you talk about when the actual event takes place?
Sure. The whole experience of it takes place this Saturday, January 17th. It's a full day affair with a track and field competitions from sprints to distance running, relays, so run, jumps, and throws, as well as a college fair for high school students to meet with some of the college admissions officers. And we'll be having a cool down after party, something that all of the college students are looking forward to, so that it provides them with an opportunity to connect with one another.
It's really nice. They're able to compete, but at the same time, they're able to relax and have a little fun. After a long trip of being a part of New York City, I certainly could understand why that is amazing and fantastic, particularly with all the excitement, new mayor that a lot of people have in that area. But more importantly, the institutions that you have involved are Bluefield State, New State, Cheney University, Coppin State, Dillard, Fayetteville State, Hampton, Howard, Houston Tillotson out here in Texas, Johnson C. Smith, Kentucky State, Lincoln, Livingston, Morgan State, Norfolk State, Prairie View A&M University here out of Texas, Tuskegee, University of Maryland Eastern Shore, Virginia Union University, Winston-Salem State University. Obviously, as most of us reside here in Texas, at least the featured host of the show, but we have AD Drew out of Atlanta over there doing some work with Morehouse. We have Wilton out of Jackson, and he moves between Jackson and Atlanta and all other places that allow him to do his fabulous work. But let me give it a chance to get these individuals and ask you some questions.
Sure.
Let me start.
That was definitely a great roll call, because to get approximately 20 HBCUs in the Big Apple is something spectacular. You might know that in New York City, we do not have a federally funded HBCU here. So in order to have an event of this magnitude, we have to invite them in and also provide them with some support to get here. So
it's really awesome to showcase it in that manner, because as you talked about, providing something for them to do, but also in terms of the community engagement. And a pillar of this done through sports, obviously, is the educational component of it. So the fact that you get to showcase HBCUs to New York City is fascinating when you talk about the capital, not only in terms of the financial epicenter and entertainment. Oftentimes people think about it, the United States, but the world. Charles, go ahead.
I wanted to ask the event itself. Will it be broadcast to where? And I've read, where it's been broadcast before, but will this year's event be broadcast again?
It will be. We're really fortunate that NBC Peacock will be picking up the coverage. We truly invite everyone to be here in the midst of all the action and the fanfare. But if you're going to miss it because you're in Texas or Washington, D.C. or the DMV area, Atlanta or what have you, you can watch it on NBC Peacock from 3:30 to 5:30. So you have a 2-hour broadcast.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be visiting the facility itself because my child is up there in the city now. So, I'm excited about coming up. So.
All right. No, that's awesome. And Lewis Johnson, I don't know if you're familiar with that name. Olympic commentator will be here as the host for the broadcast, and he'll be on site for the second year in a row. So he's very excited, and we're very excited to have him. The students, the coaches are all looking forward to having the platform to present their brilliance and their strength to the world.
First class. Wilton?
You're on mute.
He's still on mute. Let me go to you,
I
AD.
can't hear you, man.
Back to Wilton as he's working on that. Go ahead, Wilton. AD.
All right. First of all, just a point of clarification. I heard you mention Lincoln. Just curious, is that Lincoln MO or Lincoln PA that's participated in that event?
It'll be Lincoln, PA.
Lincoln, PA. Oh, you got the fake Lincoln. But anyway, I'm from Missouri, so I always have to do that. But seriously speaking, Lincoln, Missouri has a pretty good track program.
Yeah,
they won they won the conference at outdoor last year. But that's a sidebar. Couple questions I have. Number one, was this weekend intentional with this being the King holiday weekend with this event? Was that intentional with that?
I think so. We want to really bring connection to the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And there's no better way than to invite the HBCUs to come up here and represent, to provide them with a voice, to provide them with a platform, and to be able to tell the stories how they want to tell it to the world. To those in New York City, our high school students, but it really was to bring a connection. To have it on the Saturday of MLK weekend is tremendous. Everyone's looking for an event, and if you're a sports fan, you're coming here not just for the athletics, but also to learn a little bit more about the HBCUs.
Yeah, you just short the prestigious Morehouse as participation, but we're gonna let that slide and everything. But
but the thing is, I want to make it clear that we invite all HBCUs. So four-year colleges, junior colleges, technical colleges, they're all invited. I wish we can have all of the HBCUs here, but we have to have it limited only so that we can expedite a really fabulous event. So they're all invited. Every year we get new schools coming in from Bluefield State, Fayetteville State. So Fayetteville we always wanted to have here because of Inez Turner. Not sure if you're familiar with her and her accomplishments at the Penn Relays and from Veritech Jamaica, but she's now the head coach at Fayetteville State. So we wanted to have them in for a very long time. I've always been a fan of the Tennessee State Tiger Bells. My high school was named after the team was named after the Tiger Bells. So if you got a plug, please put it in because we would love to have them come in future years. And then Tuskegee. No, we don't have Morehouse or Spelman, but we have Tuskegee, and that's really important. Tuskegee actually has James Harris, the Olympian, at the event this year, and they are going to do some really good things. They have a small team, but they are tremendous in power. So we invite all HBCUs. We encourage all of them to come out. Of course, we have some support that we're offering thanks to Nike Running, but we'll love to have more. So hopefully next year, Lincoln from Missouri will be here.
And Morehouse. But anyway, go ahead, Will. You got your audio straight.
He has to do his plug.
No, come on now, man. You know, I got to do it. I got to serve that once a month and make sure I get that in, man. And make
Part of
sure
the reason we bring you on the show.
I don't think Wilton's got his.
Go ahead, Wilton. You ready? Nah, it's still not. You might have to log in.
It's still not working.
So let me give you a chance to provide some information or provide a statement that we didn't really get a chance to ask you.
Sure. So, so many people ask about why do we have an event like the HBCU Showcase? Why is it important? So again, in New York City, we really don't have much information when student athletes are looking, high school student athletes are looking for college options. And we want to present to them that the HBCU experience is one that they should consider. And the only way to do that is to bring the HBCUs to us and to them. So that's how we've been able to do that. It is our goal here at the Armory Foundation to work with students from grades 4 all the way into high school and to lead them on the right track. And HBCUs is another option with such brilliance and a legacy for leadership that I think it's a great place for them to be. And the athletic prowess of all of the student athletes is truly tremendous, and we're going to see it all on Saturday unfold.
You've heard it from Zakia Haywood. She is a lifelong runner with 20 years of experience in track and field endurance sports as a USATF certified national level official high school cross country coach and uber fan of the sport. Just wanted to give you a chance to really celebrate the work that you're doing. And I'd be remiss if I didn't allow you a chance to maybe share some of your ties with HBCUs, whether it's you directly or family members, or just some that you're a little more proud of than others in regards to what that looks like.
Yeah. So I personally did not go to an HBCU. I remember I did my own research. I went out to Atlanta, and I did a full tour. And I thought that they were really spectacular, but of course it comes down to dollars and cents. A good number of my family did have a connection with HBCUs, and we would always have trips to any of the schools like Howard, Hampton, Spelman, and Virginia State. So I would always visit the schools. But I think that this event in particular is one that bridges that gap for our community locally and those around the world, so that they get to know what's really going on. We're looking forward to it. We're going to have the Howard University Showtime Marching Band here to show some of the fanfare. The college admissions officers are going to be here to talk to the students about what makes their school so special. You'll be able to see all of the track and field activities going on. And then with the after party, it's really, really important for us to connect all of those students and athletes together. And this is all coming together thanks to our title sponsor of Nike Running.
Really awesome event. I got to find a way to get up there potentially next year. Schedule wouldn't allow me to do it, but it sounds like it is a fabulous event and certainly operated in a great contention. And anytime you get to showcase HBCUs, we're excited about it, and we want to certainly provide a platform for that. And that you were able to do this as the director, we're excited for that. Awesome. It looks like we have Wilton back in here. Wilton, did you want to try one last time? I'd be remiss if I. Nah, he just out of luck.
Stick to football, but stick to football, my guy.
You probably need to put back on that bow tie. You be all right.
Inside joke. There, inside joke.
It was a pleasure having you. We certainly look forward to continue updates, and as things get going next year, let's keep it going so we can get more information of, as you said, some schools ebb and flow in terms of the updates of the track and field. And if you would, send me some information in terms of some of those top finishers so we can make sure we get that information out next week.
We certainly will. We appreciate the time today.
Is the event on TFers?
Pardon?
Will the results be on TFers?
Of course. It'll be on athletic.net and also on Direct Athletics. But if you go into armorytrack.org, you'll be able to see it all there.
Perfect. Gotcha. Perfect. Great question. Thank you.
Sorry, Wilton.
We'll be. She's good too. She knows how to rip folks. I like that. We'll be right back after this break on the other side. Thank you for your time.
Wonderful.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta CAVIL'S of Dr. CAVIL'S Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. CAVIL'S Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2026? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 30th to February 1st, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I'm gonna go right into it. Wilton, how are you doing?
Can you hear me? That's crazy. I needed this 10, 15 minutes ago.
Hey, man. Trust me, I would say this, Wilton. It happens to the best of us. If
Oh,
people
my God.
understood what I had to do to make sure we had a show today as the host, everybody else was in place, everybody else was doing what they're supposed to do. I had some malfunction by one of my laptops that wanted to restart. Luckily, I have multiple ways that I do the show, and so I was pretty much able to pivot, as the magical word is out there, and voila, we had a show, and particularly having a guest.
Yeah.
You can imagine how the anxiety levels go when this is the day that you want. You know, everybody else, we're kind of used to it, but we are on a very time pattern, and as you know, I like to try to make sure we give the people what they want in terms of the show, but I respect you all's time, and particularly when a guest comes on time. So I like to be on that in terms of pretty much giving you right at an hour, maybe a little over. With that being said, let's jump right into it. Mid-major poll updates, week number 2 for the women. Let's bring that up and showcase it. We have one change in that poll ranking in terms of this week. Wiley Lady Wildcats fall out of the poll, 10-3, 5-1. Not necessarily a bad week, but they ran up against Paul Quinn. Paul Quinn is getting it done, and they defeated the Wildcats, which pushed them out. We'll see what that means for Paul Quinn. That was literally just outside of the top 5. But let's see who's receiving votes officially. Receiving votes this weekend were Wiley Lady Wildcats. They right outside the top 6, so they didn't fall that far behind. But you have Albany State Lady Golden Rams, 23 points, 9-3, 8-3 out of the SIAC, still playing some good basketball. Wiley Lady Wildcats, I should say, are out of the HBCU AC, as they moved, first Texas team to move in there. But intriguing to see how that continues to move forward. Playing some good basketball, however. Claflin Lady Panthers at 9-2, 5-0 out of the CIAA. Fayetteville State Lady Broncos 10-2, 4-1. You know they won the tournament last year. Well, they're back into it with a solid season thus far. And still out of the CIAA is Virginia State Lady Trojans 10-3, 3-1. So the bottom 3 teams are out of the CIAA. Solid records, but imagine what the teams are doing above them. In fact, let's get in that and look at those top 5 programs. Top 5 programs, starting out with number 5, we're going to go into the SIAC, which is Edgewater Lady Tigers, 10-4, 8-3, 42 points. Previous ranked 4, they had a tough loss, but they stayed in the mix. They still in the top 5. They do slide one spot. It's always fascinating when we talk about Edgewater's most recent team to transition, moving from NAIA to Division II. And regardless of the sport, they are in the hunt for chasing championships. So kudos to the president, the work that he's getting done down there, all administrators, coaches, and the college athletes in terms of representing so well for Edgewater University. At number 4, we have Paul Quinn College. The Lady Tigers sit at 10-3, 6-0. This is a bit of pride for me. Those that know me realize that I was reared in Waco, Texas, after being born in Norman, Oklahoma. Paul Quinn was in Waco, Texas, particularly when I was reared as a youngster. So very excited to see that Paul Quinn, what they have been able to do with their program, obviously way long time ago losing accreditation, but they brought it back, and now not only are they doing well as an institution, we over me is a slogan they use in that part. So kudos to the Paul Quinn Lady Tigers playing some good basketball. Now a member of the HBCU, a seat, 11-3, 6-0. Shout out to the Lady Tigers. At number 3, they're in Dallas now for those that didn't realize that. Let me add that. Number 3, Miles Lady Golden Bears out of the SIAC, 13-2, 11-1. 51 points. They stay at number 3, but they're playing some really good basketball. But they have some other teams above them doing even better. Bringing us to just that. Let's look at number 2. Langston Lady Lions, 14-2, 8-2. 3 first place votes, 63 points. Remain in the second spot because the number 1 team is doing so well. You'll notice that Langston last week had a top 5 program in men's basketball, and you see also last week they have a top 5 program in women's basketball. So they're one of those basketball programs that are able to do it both on the men's and women's side. Speaking of that, let's look at number 1. Winston-Salem State, the Lady Rams, sit at 13-1, 4-0. 4 first place votes with 65 points. They remain at the number 1 spot because they continue to win and do just that. Number 1 in week number 2. Wilton, since the voice wasn't working for you, I'm going to start with you and make sure that we get you in case we have any problems.
Nah, I appreciate that, Doc. Looking at this top 5, like I'm not mad at any of the teams that's in there that are in their current spots.
I appreciate you.
If Mike was on, he'll tell me I was being a teacher's pet, but you know how Mike is. I can't be mad about this list. Again, we're 2 weeks in. Well, with the mid-major, we're a little bit more than 2 weeks in, of course. But looking at these teams and how they're playing exceptionally well. And then, of course, with Winston-Salem State, they just picked up a win against Virginia State just now. And so this is a team with Winston-Salem State. Obviously, they're probably the biggest story, especially on the women's side when it comes to HBCU basketball. I mean, they're playing well. Coach Terry has them playing really, really good basketball. Again, it's 2 weeks into January. You have all the rest of January and obviously the month of February to still play before getting into the conference tournament. But if you're Winston-Salem State, you are extremely, extremely happy about where you are. When you look at that Langston team, obviously they're playing good basketball. Miles, we know, has been a team that it's always around in the mix when you start talking about SIAC, when you start talking about the tournament time during that time of the year. So I'm not mad about these top 5 teams right now.
Good stuff, Wilton. Let me go to you, AD Drew.
You know, Dr. Cavill, to the layman, this poll looks very, very good. But I don't see Stephen Gaither in the chat, so I'm to get on Stephen's team, Winston-Salem. Okay. Double 1, like I say, to the layman. But Dr. Cavill,
yes,
there are 2 teams that are nationally ranked, and it is not our number 1 team.
That's true.
Langston, nationally ranked in the top 20 on the NAIA level.
Right.
Miles, nationally ranked top 20 on the NC2A level. But we've got them at 2 and 3. So one could argue, no disrespect to Winston-Salem, there's that famous phrase, everybody. Y'all take it for what y'all want to, but that either Langston or Miles should be at that number 1 spot, with the other one taking number 2, and Winston-Salem at number 3. So I'll leave it right there. I want to leave some meat on the bone.
No, you left no meat.
Charles. By the way, we did our first BCSA mid-major poll this past Sunday, and we did have Miles at number 1. Okay. But we separate. We actually separate by all 3 classes: Division I, Division II, and NAIA. So
you didn't do the NIA because there wasn't enough games, I believe.
Yeah, we didn't have enough to. Same thing with the Division I. We didn't have enough data because we weigh conference record heavily in our algorithm. So we needed to get 1 more week of data for those other 2 levels.
I appreciate that, and I just wanted to make sure that folks knew you wasn't leaving out Langston and why you mentioned your poll ranking in terms of Miles. I think you make a very strategic argument there, AD Drew. I would say this, that we look at it week to week, and we just started. So sometimes it's just about where we put you at and not to mimic what's out there. But I think you make a great argument. With that being said, I know it wasn't a lot saved for you, Charles, but certainly want to hear your voice and your thoughts in terms.
Yeah. Taking a look at, I think what jumps out with me is I was curious where I had to go back up and look and see the receiving votes was Albany State, but just the parity in the SIAC East, that really jumps out at me. You got 5 teams within 2 games of first place in the SIAC. So Edward Waters and Albany State looks like they're going to be fighting it out throughout the course of the season. Clark is sitting right there. Also Allen sitting right there. So a lot of parity over there in the SIAC. So nobody's really stepped away over there. I think Miles has kind of separated themselves on the SIAC West. But the SIAC East, I'm going to be particularly paying attention to over the next few weeks.
With that said, are there any games this weekend or this week, rest of the week, I guess I should say, that has your interest at this point?
I have to take a look at the schedule. I haven't had an opportunity to kind of forecast into the schedule, but once I kind of take a look, I could probably answer that, and probably next segment.
No problem. Let me give it, and we'll come back to you next segment to do that. Also start thinking about on the major division side.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go to AD Drew. Since he takes all the meat, he wants some of this as well. So what games we should watch, keep our eyes on?
Oh, definitely. Let's start off with tomorrow in the SIAC. How about Albany State and Miles on the win? These are women's games specifically that we're talking about.
There we go. Yeah.
Albany State, Miles, Edward Waters, Allen. So you want to talk about that parity, Charles? One thing is going to happen: either we're going to get some separation, or we're going to get more of a cluster as of tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And then quickly looking at Saturday. How about Tuskegee Miles facing each other on the women's side? Quickly flip it over to the say that again.
No, I was asking where was the place?
It's in Fairfield.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if they've moved it from on campus to off campus like they do a lot of times. I haven't received any communication about that, but it is Miles' home game. Quickly looking at the CIAA. Winston-Salem and Shaw on the women's side. That game is Saturday, 2:00 Eastern time, and State and Union also at 2:00 Eastern time on Saturday. 2 big games in the CIAA on the women's side.
Yeah, I think we had that Winston-Salem Virginia State game. Wilton, are you aligned with AD in terms of those games, or did you have another one that you wanted to throw out there?
No, those are the ones that I was aligned with.
I saw you shaking your head, so I was like, okay.
I was very much in the
AD got it right on that one.
Oh, no, he did. he got it right there.
Well, let's take our next break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll talk about the major division for the women, give you those top 5s, and let you know what's taking place there. I will tease out that there was quite a few teams that jumped in the top 5. A lot of change. If this is indication of what we've had this past weekend, we'll see that throughout the season, and it will not just be for the women. It looks like it'll be men's and women, so it should be a lot of excitement this season for the major division in regards to the parity that we were talking about, at least out of the SIAC 1 division there. We'll see what that looks like as things continue to make it through the season, but let's take our next break, come back on the other side, and discuss it a little more.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Lab. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Lab, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
to these colleges.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, who's out on assignment, Charles Bishop, Wilton Jackson II, and AD Drew, giving your updates on HBCU basketball and news of the week. With that being said, let's get into the women's major division in week number 2 and see if we have the same level of consternation. I will say that there is a lot of changes, so there might be a little bit of that. But in terms of teams dropping out, if I told you there are 3 new teams in, that means 3 teams had to disappear. And those that dropped out are Alabama State Hornets. After getting off to a fast start, they're back at 500 in conference play, 2-2. Howard Bison fall out of the poll rankings, in the Hampton Pirates at 1-2 as well. Let's look at those receiving votes. Alabama A&M Bulldogs at 3-1. Maryland at Eastern Shore, the Hawks are at 3-0. Howard Bison 2-1. And that should be actually Hampton. Alabama State instead of Maryland Eastern Shore. But we'll just talk about that update there. Howard Bison, the Florida A&M Rattlers with a couple of big wins this weekend. Oregon State Braves sit at 2-1. Let's get into the top 5 and see who was able to jump into the poll. Seeing some of those teams with winning records conference-wise outside of the poll, a good indication of what you need to do to be in the top 5. With that being said, let's look at number 5. Texas Southern Tigers, that not ranked, are at 3-1, getting a pair of victories at home. 49 points, were not ranked last week, but they do jump into the top 5. Let's look at number 4. Alabama A&M Bulldogs have righted the ship quite quickly, also getting a pair at home. One first-place vote, 58 points, were not ranked, but they're now in the top 5. Bringing us to number 3. Norfolk State Spartans at 2-1. They do stay in the poll there. 61 points. In fact, they stay at number 3. Bringing us to number 2. Southern Jaguars did take a loss. Stay at 3-1. One first place vote. 74 points. They do stay at number 2, however, even with the loss. Bringing us to the new number 1 this week. Maryland Eastern Shore. As you saw, they were outside of the top 10 last weekend. Not only did they jump in, but as previous being unranked in the top 5, they jumped in and jumped all the way to the top. Undefeated in conference play, surprising a lot of folks with 6 first place votes, 78 points. They are the new number 1 in week number 2. Lot of changes here, so I'm fascinated to see what you all have to say, gentlemen. But let me start with you, Charles. Where are you with the top 5 in week number 2?
Great start by Texas Southern in terms of what they've been able to do thus far. They got a pretty good team. When you start taking a look at players like Talia Logwood and Deja Holmes, they got a big night. They have some injuries at point guard, but they got a big night out of Jordan Marshall, who erupted for like 29 points. You couldn't turn her off from three-point land. But one of the things Coach Burnett Skeet was saying, it's going to be it almost sounds cliche, but it's going to be a long season because she really does see a lot of parity in this conference. And from night to night, you really, truly don't know what's going to happen, which brings up some interesting matchups, I think, this upcoming weekend. But Texas Southern gotten off to a great start. Alabama A&M is doing what I think they would do. It's going to be really interesting. I think when you start taking a look at Maryland Eastern Shore, they got off to a good 3-0 start. But defensively, they're midway in the pack early in the season when you start taking a look at them stopping teams. So, can Norfolk State, Howard make up the stagger in terms of looking at Maryland Eastern Shore?
It's fascinating when what we see going on with a lot of teams being able to take advantage of other teams. With that being said, AD Drew, where are you with week number 2 major division poll ranking?
Where I am is, it's amazing that this weekend, we saw a lot of teams, quote unquote, upset teams that we expected to be and O at this point of the time with an L on the back end. I don't remember what show I was on. I had mentioned Maryland Eastern Shore was going to be a team for us to watch. I'm glad I got that one right thus far. When I did not get right was the fact that Southern took it on the chin the other day to my alma mater. I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't have called that one, but shout out to Coach Pressure down there at FAMU for righting the ship despite a dismal non-conference season for the Florida A&M Rattlers. But let me give you the stat of the day, fellas, in honor of Mike Washington, who is not here. How about Norfolk State outscoring their opponents by 17 points per game, 17.6 per game, but in conference outscoring their opponents by 28.4 points per game.
Wow.
And still got an L on their record, y'all.
Just think about that. Let you know something maybe about.
When they win, they win.
Right. They can roll it, they go roll. Wilton, where are you with the poll ranking?
So I kind of go along with a little bit with what AD is saying, and really kind of sum it up to like the parity that we're seeing amongst the SWAC and the MEAC. I'll start with number 5 first with Texas Southern. They are off to a good start, and I echo a lot of the points that Charles said. The only thing I will say is this: we're going to find out a lot about Texas Southern this week because they play State and they play Alcorn, 2 teams that they, if I'm not mistaken, have to go on the road to face them. So we're going to find out a lot about what Coach Skeet's team is made of this year. Jack State picked up a win against Alabama State over the weekend, if I'm not mistaken. And so we're going to find out a little bit about them. Alabama A&M, they're doing what I expect them to do. This was the team I felt like outside of Southern that I felt like there was probably going to be the favorite to win the SWAC. So again, we'll continue to see how they continue to gel and unfold. The fact that Norfolk State is still playing at the way that they're playing, obviously with Vickers, now at Auburn, and at this team and how they're playing some really great ball. But again, to Drew's point about Norfolk State having an L to Maryland Eastern Shore, Maryland Eastern Shore is a really, really, really good team. And again, coming into the season, not a lot of people probably thought that they were going to be ahead of essentially Howard and Norfolk State at this point. Well, Drew, you got it right. I personally said to myself, I said it was probably going to be Howard 1, and then somewhere between 1A and 1B, Norfolk State, Maryland Eastern State. I'm still going to put Norfolk State above Maryland Eastern Shore, but they are showing me right now that they're going to be hanging with both of those teams. Those 3 for sure are going to essentially going to be neck and neck throughout conference play. Now with Southern, I did not have FAMU beating them, but I think I mentioned this to you, Dr. Cavill, and you mentioned it back to me. FAMU is a team that essentially they had some losses that they could have won those games, and I feel like they finally figured out how to pull it off against Southern. And if they can continue to do that and build on what they did, this could be an interesting FAMU team going down the stretch into SWAC play.
Yeah, in terms of a tough late turnover, they really would have surprised everybody because they'd been 3-0. Just think about that. That's pretty wild. Let me stick with you, Wilton. What are some matchups that are catching your eyes for this week?
So with this week, of course, Texas Southern, Jackson State in the SWAC. I'm also looking at to see how Alcorn fares against Prairie View, because I know people may say, well, it's Prairie View, this team might not be as strong. But again, with the way the parity is right now, you just never know. If you're not prepared to play, you could lose a game, right? And so when you start looking
to your point, although they're 0-4, 2 of those games have been relatively close. So
exactly.
If they can kind of figure it out, then you're right. They can have put a upset, as we said, with some of the teams this week and ruin it for the home team.
Right. And then in the MEAC on Thursday, it's Maryland Eastern Shore and Coppin State. And then on Saturday, Not really super big on a matchup right now, but I would definitely keep my eye on Howard. They go up against North Carolina Central, but they go on the road.
Let me give those breakdowns as you did a great job. Let me roll them out before I come to you, Charles, and get your thoughts on any game that you want to discuss that has your interest or that you'll at least have an eye on. Bethune-Cookman is at Arkansas Pine Bluff on Thursday. Prairie View is at Alcorn State. Texas Southern at Jackson State. And FAMU at Mississippi Valley State. Saturday, it means you have Prairie View at Jackson State. Texas Southern at Alcorn. Southern at Grambling, the rivalry game. FAMU at Pine Bluff and Bethune-Cookman at Valley. That's the SWAC. As you also mentioned, a couple of games, Wilton and the MEAC. We do have that Saturday contest, Coppin State at Maryland Eastern Shore, to keep your eyes on in terms of what that looks like. So that should be fascinating in terms of what's going on there. That's actually Thursday, sorry. Saturday is Morgan State at Delaware State and Howard at Central. Norfolk State at South Carolina State. Not much going on there. Obviously, in terms of the Independence Coastal, we have Hampton at William and Mary on Friday. And then on Sunday, we have the A&T, North Carolina A&T. Hampton and North Carolina A&T matchup. Hampton is at home. It's always exciting for those two in terms of the HBCU rivalry component, if you would. And then you have Tennessee State. The women there are struggling, but to give them rightful due, you talk about the fact on Thursday they're at home. Morehead State comes visiting. And then on Saturday, you have South Indiana. What's your thoughts in terms of some matchups to keep your eyes on, Charles?
For me, I think it's the Florida teams making the trip to Mississippi Valley. That Mississippi Valley team, they already have 2 conference wins thus far. Had 6 all last season. But when looking at them up close, they have a couple players, Nairobi Lewis, Ariel Jefferson. Ariel Jefferson already has had a couple player of the week performances, but these are 2 players that they're tough on the boards, and especially from an offensive rebounding perspective. They go back up pretty strong. I think what hurt them in the game against Texas Southern, they missed 9 free throws. They lost by 10. So it's going to be kind of interesting to watch Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman making the trip to Itta this weekend.
Good call. Intriguing good matchups. Eddie, Drew, final thoughts in terms of some of the games to watch this week?
I guess when you go third on this panel, everybody else is going to take the meat off the bone for you. Because both y'all took the meat off the bone for me. Yeah, I was going to concur with the Florida teams going into what I call the Forgotten Teams tour. That's being Valley and UAPB, especially for FAMU. Valley and FAMU have both shown the ability to, in conference, to win the close game. So what's going to happen with these 2 juggernauts who like to win close games go head up? We're probably going to get a blowout, but I just had to throw that in there. And then you talk about UAPB. Well, especially on the women's side, UAPB has always been one of those teams that they hang around, and then early to mid February, next thing you know, they fight for one of the top spots in the conference. So these are those type games that keep them hanging around. So I'm really interested specifically in FAMU against those 2 opponents. And on the personal side, is Valley becoming a FAMU rival? Because anytime FAMU plays Valley in anything this year, we trying to get some revenge back from what happened on the gridiron. I just had to throw that out there. So we got to do that one. Going over to the MEAC, like Wilton say, not a lot of sexy matchups in the MEAC. My thing is, how much is Maryland Eastern Shore going to be comping by on the Thursday night? That's really what I'm looking at. Same thing with Norfolk. Is Norfolk going to get to their margin average of 28 points against South Carolina State? Those are the things that I have to look at this week in the MEAC.
I love it. Let's take one last break. Come on the other side. I want to talk about a couple of news things that's out there One of them finds a way to get us back into football, and then another one is somber note. We'll take a moment of silence before we close the show and see if there's any news that you want to get to. So let's take our last break, come back on the other side, and do a short breakdown of your thoughts on that type of news of the day.
At Automasters LLC, our mission is to serve our community by providing quality automobiles at affordable prices. All of our vehicles are inspected and certified to offer you the confidence in knowing you have a quality vehicle. Our goal is to provide you with a seamless process and positive experience for your automobile purchase. Financing recommendations and specific vehicle inquiries are available at your request. You can find us at www.automasters06.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, please feel free to contact Terrence Miles at 601-927-7794. And oh yeah, tell him Sonia sent you.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU stories with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is on assignment, so we brought in Wilton Jackson II as well as AD Drew to make sure we could give you a full program. With that being said, big announcement today, I think, for a lot of folks was Jackson State and Tennessee State are getting it back together again on the gridiron. There is slight difference. This is not for the Southern Heritage Classic, which they have played for many years, which no longer played after a couple of years ago. Jackson State pulled out first, and then Tennessee State followed a couple of years later, if you would. But these games will be played on campus sites. First year, Jackson State will travel to Nashville in Tennessee for a matchup in 2026. And then Tennessee State will come to Jackson in 2027. We have a couple of folks that have Jackson ties on here for sure. But I'm going to start with you, Charles, to give us when is the last time, if you have it, I guess, it would be the first to ask. When was the last time Tennessee State came to Jackson?
I would say 1989. Either 1988 or 1989, one or two. But the one I absolutely remember is the playoff game. Tennessee State came to Jackson. I want to say that's the infamous Jersey Gate game. So I've heard a lot of rumors about that game. But
Jersey, you got to explain. You got to give us a little more than that for those that.
Please.
Basically,
I know where you're coming from.
Tennessee State came down to Jackson with only their home jerseys. So you talk about gamesmanship. I remember the game it was delayed. It was delayed for at least an hour and a half, something to that effect, because Jackson State had to send somebody back to campus. Coach Robert Hughes had to send him back to campus to go get the road white jerseys. So it was Tennessee State in their powder blues versus Jackson State in the road whites, and that was that was a crawl on a lot of old head Jackson State fans for a long time.
Who won the game?
Tennessee State won the game. Tennessee State actually beat Jackson State, I want to say twice that season. Once up in Nashville, and then it was a playoff game in Jackson. Yeah.
So that was a playoff game that happened?
It's a playoff game.
I'd have been hot. I thought it was the reverse. I do remember a lot of that, but I had forgot that it was the playoff game that happened.
Well, yeah, it was a playoff game.
What do you remember about it of that?
A lot of trips to Nashville, Doc.
I wasn't even born when that game took place. I just know stories about it from my family members. But I just say this, just to have this game back for Jackson State, this is a game that should never go away from Jackson State's schedule, and Tennessee State's for that matter. We know it won't be the Southern Heritage Classic anymore, but, we get it as the John Mayer Classic. Is first game of the season, August 29th, week 0. So I'm just excited to have it back because, a lot of my childhood went to, goes back to like going to Memphis, and just hearing stories about, these two teams playing. I think the earliest version of me watching Jackson State versus Tennessee State would have been Robert Kent. So that takes you all the way back to like early 2000s, and even TC.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to you, Charles. Any final thoughts? And AD, I have a different way I want to ask your question where I get a way you tie in Tennessee State.
I think I know where you're going, and I think it might have been where I was going to go with this.
Right, good. We're on the same page. Go ahead, Charles, before I come.
No, it was just as you well know, my family, we follow Jackson State wherever, and I remember trips going up to Hale Stadium. Going to Jefferson Street, getting some fish sandwiches before we went to the game. So it's going to be fun going back to Nashville, getting that nostalgia back again. But there's a lot of synergy, of course, between Jackson and Nashville. They have a huge alumni base there in Jackson, and it's from Big John. Coming and recruiting Jackson players, going up to Nashville, especially back in the 60s and 70s, where you got quite a few Tennessee State Tigers that living in Jackson. So it's going to be fun to get that home and home rivalry back again.
Great comment there, Edwin. Drew, I want to ask you from this perspective. One, just your thoughts on this. But from my perspective, you have the history of playing home and away with Tennessee State in terms of a FAMU grad. You also have the Classic, and that was in Atlanta for a long way, moving to a different location and then having it back on campus before it went on hiatus. So can you share a little bit of your experience of mirroring or hearing the stories of old, getting experience from a Classic perspective, and then later on campus, and how you say they work out in terms of what you see here?
No. All right, let me back up. I lived every one of those Classics in Atlanta. From being a high school senior in 1989, when I was planning on going to Tennessee State, to in 1990 as a college freshman, going to Atlanta with my orange and green on. So I lived all those classes from Bobby Dodd Stadium to Fulton County Stadium and into the Georgia Dome. I attended the Classics at all three facilities before the Classic went away, and then they started playing the home and home. And for me, the Classic, when they went to home and home, for me, because I had lived every one of those classes, it did not hit the same for me during the home and home. And then eventually egos and business and everything else took over, and it went away. I hope that does not happen in the case of this particular game between Jackson State and Tennessee State. I hope they continue to keep it in the home and home. If this does at some point in time go back to some type of neutral site Classic, then if it goes back, it does not need a promoter. This game does not need a promoter. This game should be owned by the two institutions, and they deal with everything. So like the Florida Classic is between FAMU and Bethune-Cookman. That game, you get the right people in the two institutions, hire the right people in management to run everything, and the game sells itself. You do not need a middleman in certain rivalries. So but I'm just I think these first 2 years we don't have anything to worry about. It's when this contract comes up to renewal. What is it going to be? Especially if the attendance is skewed one way or the other in one person's venue or something else. But I know one thing: one of these doggone networks gonna pick this game up. I don't know. We don't know which one yet. Somebody gonna pick this game up.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, ESPN might try to get both of them. Certainly when it's in Nashville, to be part of Tennessee State, and they have the contractual right with ESPN. When it's in the SWAC, you have a couple of options with whether it's SWAC TV, ESPN, or even HBCU Go. So you're right; it'd be fascinating to see how that kind of looks. One of the benefits, obviously, with Jackson Nashville is a little shorter distance between Jackson Nashville versus Nashville and Tallahassee.
And Jackson. Now Jackson now has a flight from Southwest to Nashville, so
that helps. That certainly helps. We do have a bit of sad news where I would like us to take a moment of silence. This is on behalf of the Fisk basketball player that was killed in a shooting on 65 North near I-40 Exchange. 20-year-old Andre Bell, a sophomore business administration major, a member of Fisk men's basketball team, was driving with some friends coming from attending a gymnastics event at the fairground, and apparently a red pickup truck was shot by a dark sedan. They do not have, or at least at the release of this, do not have information in terms of the assailant, but tragically rushed to the hospital and then lost his life. It was quoted as saying here that he was a dominant force on the Fisk University men's basketball team. He was most remembered for his infectious smile, loving personality, and unique ability to always bring warmth to a room, said head coach Jeremiah Crutcher in the statement. We know we have a deep absence in our program, but more importantly, we have a deep pain in our hearts. He will be truly missed, end quote. So I thought it was important that as we celebrate HBCUs, certainly celebrate our college athletes and have the fond memories that we were able to just discuss there and throughout the show, that there is also an important part of us to make sure we share when tragedy hits and that we feel it. So I'm asking you all to take a moment of silence before we officially close the show. Thank you, gentlemen, for that. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. And today we had none other than Wilton Jackson II and AD Drew, regulars for our Tuesday lineup. Now, I want to thank them for taking out their time and making sure that we can provide our HBCU fans and listeners with updates from the Inside the HBCU Sports Lab perspective. And thank you, Charles, for always being ready and prepared to give the updates. We look forward to next Thursday as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta CAVIL. It's DrKenyattaCavil, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook and Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. I do want to say this. A lot is going on in the world. And while we get to have the luxury to focus on sports because that's what we choose to do, it's not because we're absent of what's taking place there. We certainly ask all of you all for various reasons, no matter how you look at it from that perspective, to take care of yourself, stay vigilant, make sure you stay focused, make sure you're reading, staying knowledgeable about the best way to have success, not only for yourself, but for your family, your community, and beyond. So stay focused in terms of what that means. Continue to read and be careful about the messages that you receive in terms of accuracy. So stay knowledgeable up front. With that being said, dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
Wilton.
Lecture.
AD.
Dismissed.